Netanyahu prepares for a possible clash with NATO, as Israel hints at a major showdown in Syria. Erdogan lands in Netanyahu's crosshairs as Israel-Turkey tensions explode over Syria. Before the polls, Bibi slams Erdogan and now weighs a tougher response to Turkey's role in Syria. As an Israel-Turkey clash looms in Syria, could Ankara's forces face direct IDF strikes? Netanyahu's office slammed Erdogan as an anti-Semitic dictator amid calls for his arrest, according to reports. The Israeli Prime Minister's office called Erdogan an anti-Semitic dictator and accused the Turkish leader of repeatedly targeting Israel. The sharp response came as tensions spiked over Turkey's expanding military role in Syria and its increasingly confrontational stance toward Israel. Israel's Prime Minister's office said, and I quote, "Erdogan is an anti-Semitic dictator who has massacred Kurds, harbors Hamas terrorists, occupies half of Cyprus, and jails record numbers of journalists and politicians who oppose him. Erdogan's pathetic attempt to intimidate the leaders and soldiers of Israel, the only true democracy in the Middle East, will go nowhere." Unquote. The statement followed an Israeli strike on Syria's Abu al-Duhur airbase on August 18, amid growing tensions over Turkey's military plans in Syria. Israel said the strike targeted infrastructure that could potentially support Turkish forces in Syria and facilitate a future military deployment. Separately, Israeli planners were reportedly examining options to strike Turkish forces in Syria as tensions between the two countries continue to rise. An analysis suggested that Turkish troops deployed inside Syria may fall outside NATO's Article 5 protection, potentially limiting the alliance's direct response. Israel may consider limited strikes against Turkish forces without directly triggering NATO's collective defense mechanism, according to Israel Hayom. Israel Hayom analysis said, and I quote, "Just because Turkey is a member state in NATO doesn't mean it is protected in Syria. Israel allegedly struck Syria's Abu al-Duhur air base before Turkish forces arrived. The doctrine, deny infrastructure before the flag lands, because once Turkish troops arrive, striking also risks Turkish casualties, retaliation, American intervention." Unquote. The report did not confirm any Israeli bid to attack Turkey directly, but it highlighted a potentially dangerous escalation path between the NATO member and Israel. A suspected drone crashed inside the grounds of a police station in Trabzon's Arsin district on August 18, triggering an immediate investigation into where the aircraft came from. The incident took place around 7 p.m. and damaged several vehicles parked inside the police compound, while the blast also caused significant disruption at the site. The explosion shattered windows at the police station and nearby offices, but authorities said no injuries were reported despite the sudden impact. CCTV footage circulating online captured the moment the suspected unmanned aircraft crashed into the site, followed by a powerful blast. The details of the incident were reported by the Kyiv Independent on August 19, adding to questions over the drone's origin and possible purpose. Trabzon Governor Tahir Sahin visited the crash site as Turkish experts began examining the wreckage and collecting evidence from the damaged area. Authorities said the object was preliminarily identified as an unmanned aerial vehicle, although its exact type and origin remained unclear. Investigators are now working to determine where the drone came from, why it crashed, and whether the incident was accidental or linked to a wider operation. Turkey did not immediately blame any country or military operation for the incident, leaving the circumstances surrounding the crash unresolved. The mysterious incident came only weeks after Turkey signed a mutual defense pact with Saudi Arabia and Pakistan, adding greater regional significance to the timing. The emerging alliance was widely viewed as part of a broader regional security alignment involving Iran and Israel, as tensions continue to reshape the Middle East. Turkey, Saudi Arabia and Pakistan signed a mutual defense agreement in Mecca on August 7, bringing their leaders together amid heightened regional turmoil and security concerns across the Gulf. The pact unites three major Sunni Muslim powers that each retain important, though very different, relationships with the United States, combining Saudi financial influence, Turkish military-industrial capacity, and Pakistan's armed forces. Notably, none of the three states maintains full diplomatic relations with Israel, creating a rare security grouping of U.S.-linked powers that remains politically separate from Washington's closest Middle Eastern partner. Turkey, Pakistan, and Saudi Arabia signed the deal amid a widening Gulf crisis, with regional states facing attacks, threats, and growing uncertainty following the confrontation between Iran, the United States, and Israel. Turkey brings NATO's second-largest military by personnel. Saudi Arabia contributes immense Gulf influence and defense spending, while Pakistan adds a battle-tested military and the only nuclear arsenal in the Muslim world. Riyadh has been seeking to deepen security cooperation with key partners as it looks for stronger deterrence and more reliable regional arrangements beyond traditional dependence on Washington. At the same time, Saudi Arabia has raised alarm over growing regional threats from Iran-aligned groups, particularly as maritime, missile and drone risks have increased across the Gulf and Red Sea. Ebrahim Rezai, a member of Iran's Parliamentary National Security and Foreign Policy Committee, reacted on August 7 after Saudi Arabia signed the new defense agreement with Turkey and Pakistan in Mecca. Rezai posted his response on X, directly criticizing the newly signed Mecca Joint Deterrence Agreement and warning Riyadh not to mistake new partners for guaranteed protection. Ebrahim Rezai said, and I quote, "Saudis must know that a paper agreement with Turkey and Pakistan will not bring them security. Just as years of one-sided nursing to the Americans did not bring them security. Reform your policies so that you do not need to beg for security from others." End quote. Iran's warning comes at a time of growing security concerns for Saudi Arabia, as conflict in the Gulf and Red Sea increases the risks facing the kingdom's cities, infrastructure and energy export routes. Earlier in the regional conflict, Iran launched attacks against Saudi-linked targets using drones and missiles, presenting them as retaliation against states it accused of facilitating U.S. military operations. Tehran has argued that any country providing territory, facilities, or practical support for U.S. action against Iran could be treated as part of the confrontation and therefore exposed to retaliation. While Iran has not recently claimed direct strikes against Saudi Arabia, Yemen's Iran-aligned Houthi movement has continued attacks and threats against Saudi-linked vessels, ports, and oil infrastructure. The Houthis declared a naval blockade of Saudi Arabia after Saudi strikes on Houthi-held Yemen, saying Saudi-connected ships and vessels using Saudi Red Sea ports could be targeted. The Houthi blockade and wider Iran war have put Saudi oil export routes under major pressure, threatening to reduce flows through the Red Sea and creating new uncertainty for Riyadh's energy revenues and global markets.
Upgrade your news experience with the all-new HT app. Download now.